flowers for the beer baron Pewaukee way. He thought he could work the canvas as his father had taught him each day. With no formal training, he struck out on his own. From Leipzig to Budapest to Texas, until he made Milwaukee his home. He put away his brushes and his palette to marry the girl of his dreams. They started a family, just barely out of their teens. He became a gardener for those who had money and more. But with war at the doorstep, they fled with other souls from the horror. They entered the country in a typical unlawful way. They couldn't clear Ellis Island. A clubfoot got in their way. Somehow they made El Paso and farmed by the old Rio Grande till the crops failed and they had to abandon their land. Then northward to Wisconsin, a much greener shore, tending gardens for brewers and for bankers, planting flowers and trees by the score. He became a master. His nursery beds were his domain. Honors, prizes, and ribbons. The moguls all knew his name. As time passed, his wife was departed, and his children left him on his own. He practiced his trade in Pewaukee till finding his place at the home. His heart and knees had grown weary, no longer to dig in the dirt. He picked up his brushes and palette to paint for all it was worth. Wisconsin's Grandpa Moses is how we became to be known, painting landscapes and flowers, so much beauty his linen did show. His works now hang in museums, collections from here and to there. I wish I could have known him. We'd have many stories to share. Hans painted with flowers for the beer baron Pewaukee Way. He thought he couldn't work the canvas, but his father had shown him the way. What is a family if not soil, paintings and a song? Surely my great-granddad is listening. Can't you hear him singing along? Hans painted with flowers. Thank you for tuning into this post-episode discussion of my song, Hans Painted with Flowers. I live in and take a great deal of inspiration from the Driftless region. The border of the Driftless runs from, well, its most northern point near Menominee, Wisconsin, southwestward to Red Wing, Minnesota, and over to Rochester and Austin, Minnesota, then further south to Mason City and Cedar Rapids, Iowa, then eastward to Galena, Illinois, then northward to the Wisconsin Dells. I wrote Hans Painted with Flowers while attending a songwriter's workshop in Dubuque, Iowa. The workshop took place at a wonderful historic home on a bluff overlooking the Mississippi, high above the Driftless region. You know, family histories and memories of times long past are ripe with material for this songwriter. But it's curious how what I recall as facts about my ancestry may have been embellished by my elders or are actually tall tales. This episode of A Songwriter's Craft that featured my composition Hans Painted with Flowers recounts how my dad's family immigrated to the U.S., or at least what I remember being told by my grandfather about his father and his father's father. Now, some of my family members who have really studied the family history and dug deep into the subject tell me that I have it mostly right in this song, but Hans may have traveled to Texas by train, and we're not really certain where his farm went bust. What is clear is that I was destined to become a songwriter because my father was a professor of speech communication and became a dean at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. His dad, my grandfather, was a professional puppeteer and a guitar player and singer of folk songs. My dad's uncle, my great-uncle, was an art professor and during the WPA served as president of the Artists' Union of New York. And my great-grandfather on the Schmidt side of the family, and his father before him, were gifted gardeners and talented painters of and with flowers. That's the root of Hans Painted with Flowers. I hope you enjoyed the song and that you will tune into future episodes of A Songwriter's Craft. Thank you for watching this episode of A Songwriter's Craft. These videos are not intended to be a songwriter's workshop. Rather, I want to share my story as a songwriter through these videos, and I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about my music and songwriting process. If you haven't already done so, please share any thoughts or questions you have about the song featured in this video in the comments section. And in the comments section, please record what city, town, county, state, country, zip code, or postal code you call home. I need to report viewership statistics to the Minnesota State Arts Board as part of the evaluation process for a grant I received to support the production of this video. Please watch this space and subscribe to my YouTube channel for another episode of A Songwriter's Craft. This is Stephen J. Schmidt, wishing you well and signing off.